बीच में नहीं आएगी क्या?
नहीं है,
बोल तो रही है वो, क्यों नहीं, आवाज क्यों नहीं आ रही है?
आवाज तो आनी चाहिए, आवाज तो ऑन है।
स्पीकर
ये ऑन कुछ होगा उनको। ये करंट कर रहे हैं ना,
जो कंट्रोल करते हैं।
Namaste to all. We will get started in a couple of minutes. Somebody is asking if we need the text. I sent a flyer that should have the text. If you have the flyer, you have the text. But if not, I will put the flyer up again in the chat pod. So open the chat pod and download the flyer. You will have the text.
I have been hearing this. बहुत बड़ा सेंटेंस
करती है क्या
कर रहे हैं।
ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। Namaste. Welcome to, what shall we call this, Martin Luther King Jr. weekend retreat. That's a lot of words. Better just to say Mandukya retreat. Only 2 words. In the interest of precision and clarity, which are both the highlights of Vedanta Shastra in general and Mandukya Upanishad in particular. So the Mandukya Upanishad belongs to the Atharva Veda. That's why we have in the tradition, when Bhagavan Vyasa, Lord Vyasa, gave the Vedas. The first, it was not Vedas plural, it was just Veda singular. Veda, body of knowledge, singular. And Lord Vyasa, Bhagavan Vyasa, gave the Veda to various families to keep. A brilliant mind with a lot of foresight, perhaps he saw that everyone, from Alexander not so great to not so great Britain, would end up colonizing India for thousands of years. And rightly, he was worried about this body of knowledge which was carried in the heads of people. Everything was in the head. It's an oral tradition. And even today, if you go to a traditional Veda Pathashala, we have one in our Nagpur ashram, where you see children going to study the Veda. One thing you will not see is the text. No text. Only context. That's all. No text. And the children will come, sit down. All of them are so cute, so tiny. 8 years old, 9 years old, they will all sit down. And then the teacher will chant, and then they will repeat. Even today. No books, no text. That is all a recent phenomenon. And so therefore this is something which is very, very beautiful to see. That Lord Vyasa, seeing that this knowledge would perhaps be in danger somewhere down the road, made it much more easy for it to be transmitted from generation to generation, from parents to children to grandchildren, in an unbroken series of lineages, by giving it to families to keep. And another thing he ensured was that people are never away from the knowledge. Because if it's a cultural legacy, it's easy to ignore. In fact, you can be a rebel. You can say, I am not into this, which the second generation of Indian children, do that. I'm not into this. This is not my culture. I'm American. I'm not Indian. You may be Indian. They will tell the parents, I'm American. So the culture can be easily repudiated. In fact, one can define oneself against the grain of the culture. But what cannot be easily repudiated, easily dismissed, is the legacy of the family, the familial legacy. That cannot be easily dismissed because it's much more close, it's much more intimate. And Bhagavan Vyasa, in making sure that it is not this body of knowledge known as the Upanishad, making sure that it doesn't come under the sway of being destroyed by people who don't understand it, who have no value for it, also made sure that it blossoms in every heart. Because any body of knowledge is potentially under onslaught, because it can be destroyed by something other than itself, or it can be potentially under onslaught because it is destroyed by itself. So here one can be one's own enemy by repudiating the message of the Upanishad. The message of the Upanishad, as we are shortly going to see, is not a philosophy, is not a darshana, is not something that is to be, is not a school of thought. It is not a point of view. It is simply put you. This is what it is. And so, this body of knowledge actually is indestructible. But it can be as though destroyed by people who don't understand it, including the one for whom it has been revealed, namely yourself. So Bhagavan Vyasa, in giving the families this knowledge to keep safely, achieved two things with one particular move. And what were the two things? To prevent any kind of an onslaught from quote unquote external sources outside the tradition, outside the culture, and to prevent an entropy from within the culture itself. Because it is kept by families. It has become a family heirloom. Like even some coveted piece of furniture, some jewels, something wonderful, handed over from father to son, mother to daughter, and it is kept, it is cherished because it is thousands of years old, 400 years old, 500 years old. This belonged to my great 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 grandparents, and now it is in my living room, people proudly say. Because that history is one's connection to oneself. Until one knows Vedanta, one needs this kind of a history. And the Veda is a cultural heirloom, not just for the Hindus, not just for Indians, but for the whole world. It's a personal heirloom, it's a cultural heirloom. And this is whose main purpose is to prevent the entropy that results from not knowing the truth of who one is. This is why it's a very, very, very precious heirloom. An heirloom without ownership, think about it. An heirloom which is not a thing but a body of knowledge. An heirloom that is totally cognitively carried and passed on. And in the last stroke of paradox, an heirloom without authorship. There is no authorship. Even though the Mandukya Upanishad is named after a sage, Manduka. That was the name of the sage. And we don't know whether it was the same sage that was responsible for for the study of a certain recension in the Rig Veda. In the Rig Veda also we come across a certain recension. Recension means a shakha, branch. And there that branch is attributed to being, the revelation of that branch is attributed to a sage called Hrasva Manduka, and we don't know if it's the same Manduka or a different Manduka. But for us it simply does not matter because this is not about ownership, it is not about authorship. It is, we just pay homage to the sage whose mind was so pure, free of raga and dvesha, that this mind, Mahamati, this great mind, was able to channel the Upanishads called Mandukya, revealed by Bhagavan. Because everything comes from Bhagavan. Knowledge also comes from Bhagavan. And there cannot be any other way. Because this is not a brainchild of sage Manduka. Then it will become a philosophy. Therefore, then it will become a religion whose founder was Manduka. And we are all Mandukites, we can say, because we belong to this particular set of beliefs. It's not a belief. It's not a religion. It's simply a body of knowledge, so vast and so complete, so full, that it can only be understood as oneself. Because in that fullness, in that vastness, in that completion, one is never excluded. And so this is what is called the Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya pertaining to coming from sage Manduka. Even though we say coming from, there is no authorship. The Upanishads are not, it's not a brainchild of anybody's brain. It's not a child of any brain. It is not something that is crafted. It's not a knowledge that is produced. In fact, a knowledge that is produced becomes a school of thought, a system of philosophy. And this is something which has to be seen properly for what it is. Because if it is a system of philosophy, if it is a school of thought, then it is subject to negation. Very easy to see. And just like anything that's in the market right now, what do you have in the market? You have so many things that are coming. Whether it's a new book on some discovery comes, and it is famous for a length of time until it is hit out of the market by another theory, yet one more way of looking at something. If the Upanishad were the child of a sage's brain, then that is what it would become. It would merely be reduced to some kind of a bestseller, New York Times bestseller, that enjoyed 6 weeks of unparalleled adhipatya. Adhipatya means king. It was the king. It enjoyed overlordship until some other bestseller came along. Therefore, the Upanishad is revealed. It is not subject to the whimsy sitting in anybody's head, and therefore it cannot be dismissed because it is not a darshana, a philosophy. It cannot be, because what it has is something that is best known as a vision, not a viewpoint, but a vision. A vision that is entirely in keeping with the human longing of wanting to be free from every single thing that one feels constrained by. This is a universal longing. This is not a longing of one particular person sitting somewhere in India, or sitting somewhere else in some other country, or it is not some kind of a cultural longing of a few people belonging to a particular culture. Neither is it a longing of a nation, nor is it a longing specific to all the people who occupy planet Earth. Even if somebody from an outer space, as long as they had a human-like mind, and as long as we were able to teach in a manner that we were able to communicate, the Upanishad would have 100% success, because as long as there is a human head that is capable of making khichdi. What kind of khichdi? Khichdi means some kind of a rice and dal concoction. A kind of a khichdi is something that you throw things together. This is what is khichdi. You have dal, you have rice, you have water, and then you have some vegetables, and then you have some this, you have some that, and then you put everything and cook it out of existence. So this is not some kind of a khichdi in somebody happening in somebody's brain. This addresses human longing, human sense of bondage, sense of incompleteness, sense of feeling a constriction from womb to tomb. Set me free, let me out. I need space. I need to go far away from everything. I can't handle this world. Okay, go somewhere, go trekking. Okay, I can't handle myself. And that is the jnanodaya. Jnanodaya means the rise of knowledge that happens when one spends some time camping or in wilderness. And what is the conclusion? I can't handle myself. I can't handle the jagat. I can't handle the world. I can't handle anything. In fact, I am the one that needs to be handled by this universe. I can't handle this universe. I need to be kept in a good mood. I need to be coddled. I need to be loved. I need somebody by my side. I need somebody who is in my corner. I need somebody, and this is in a stroke of codependent genius. I need somebody to need me. I not only need to be, not only have so many needs, I need to be needed. I need to be reckoned. I need for somebody to at least ask me my opinion. And if not anybody in the family, at least somebody from outside. At least somebody should ask me what is the time. Nowadays nobody asks because everybody has got a device. You just look. It's a, what should I say? That's why it's called smartphone. It does everything. It tells the time. And the next gen of smartphones can even make coffee. There is an app for that. You can do all kinds of things with it. And so, like this is the human longing. That even though I have been born alone, even if one is a twin or a part of a triplet, one is still born alone. I seem to have been equipped with this body, which is unique to me. I have a mind that is unique to me. Every mind, I tell you, is a mad mind. Any mind that is not exposed to Vedanta is a mad mind. But even in that madness, there is a uniqueness to every person's articulation of this madness is very, very, very specific. One person's madness is slightly different articulation than another person's madness. That's why you will never find the psychologists and psychiatrists out of a job. Even in the midst of a pandemic so deadly and so prolonged as the one we are undergoing, the psychologists have thrived. They have been very busy because of just this very fact that the human mind is the factory of complexes. And there is no, and it defies an economy. What do I mean by defies economy? Defies economy, pun intended, because there are so many, there is no economy practiced in the production of these complexes. That's the first point. And the second manner in which it defies any law of economics. And what is the law of economics? Supply and demand. There is a connection between supply and demand. And if there is demand, then there is supply. Sometimes you create the demand and then you supply. Then you are sitting on a treasure chest, because then you can charge whatever you want, because you have created a demand, and then you are supplying for the demand. It defies all logic of economics. Because regardless, there is no demand for a sense of bondage. Nobody wants a sense of bondage, but then that sense of bondage is manufactured in every head by some miracle. It's almost that there are certain elves sitting in the mind and working overtime to produce these complexes. And that is a point of view, because it is the child of a brain. That's why there is a method to the madness. The madness itself becomes a possibility for study. And why? Because there is a method to it. This comes from Hamlet. There is a method to his madness. The minister, the loyal minister to the king, diagnoses Hamlet's condition. Yes, he's mad, all right, but there is a method to the madness. And this method to everybody's madness is the subject matter of psychology. And psychology is very good at diagnosing the problem, for which Vedanta is the lasting solution. Psychology is the problem, Vedanta is the solution. Because every person goes to the psychologist, and the psychologist finally psychologist also goes to another psychologist, and then finally the psychologist has to go to a Swami. Finally, everybody, including the psychologist, has to come to a source of knowledge because this is a product of the brain. It's a conclusion which is contested by the revealed knowledge called Upanishad. The conclusion that I am bound, the conclusion that there is some problem, and the conclusion that I am not enough, the conclusion that I need to be needed, the conclusion that I have so many needs I don't know how to start fulfilling them, the conclusion that my happiness and my contentment depend on the satisfaction of my needs and wants and desires. They are all of them erroneous. All of them are erroneous. And this is what is revealed by this body of knowledge called the Upanishads. So when Lord Vyasa gave the families, he divided the Veda into 4. The Upanishads were tacked on to the Veda as the last portion of the Veda, whose study needs special preparation, mental and emotional. A mental and emotional preparation is needed to delve into this knowledge called the Upanishad, also aka Vedanta. Vedanam antah, the final word of the Vedas, need for one to grow up to be able to greet these final words. And what are these final words? The final words put an end to the quest, to the human quest, to be needed, to be wanted, to be loved, to amount to something, to be accomplished, to be one with everything, to matter. This is the quest. And the final end, the ultimate end to the quest, is found in the pages of the Upanishads that occur at the end of the Vedas. Why at the end? We've already seen why at the end. Because some mental preparation is warranted, emotional maturity is needed to be able to greet the words of the Upanishad. Ayam ātmā brahma, the opening mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad, puts the bomb. Puts the bomb of the Mahavakya right there in the first sentence. Ayam ātmā brahma. Ayam ātmā, this thing that you call yourself, is nothing but the cause of the universe. It is Ishvara. It is the source of the universe. You are the cause of the universe. This is a very big deal to understand. This is not something, it is not something you will become Brahman. No. Or you were Brahman and now too many ragas, too many dvesha, too many wants and needs, and you are no longer Brahman because you have, like Christianity would say, Orthodox Christianity would say, you've had a fall from grace. You were in paradise and now you are in a horrible place called earth, full of sorrows. No such thing. You are Brahman even now, with your baggage, with your excess baggage of complexes, your unfulfilled resentments and desires, and your baggage of wants, needs, things to accomplish, and your old baggage of how people see you in the world. One part of this baggage. Another part of this baggage, how you see people in the world, how you relate to the world. All this comprises this baggage. Despite this baggage, despite drowning every day in samsara, which is nothing but a bucket of your own tears, glub, glub, glub. Despite all that, Ayam ātmā brahma, you are that which is limitless, whole cause of the universe. You see why this is not a darshana? This is not a point of view. Because, as I said, it is not coming out of some rishi's brain, number one. Number two, it cannot be contested. It cannot never be contested. I say you are the whole, you are free, you are full, you are complete, you are purna. And if you want to contest that, what will you say? No, I am not. That's all you can say. No, I am not. I am not purna. I am not full. I am an idiot. Then even when you say that, you are lacking conviction. Because remember what I said earlier, the vision of the Upanishad is in keeping with the human longing. And what is the human longing? To be belonging to something greater than oneself. And the Upanishad goes the whole hog and unites you with that which is the greatest thing in the universe, Ishvara, the source of the universe. This is its uniqueness. And its claim to fame, the Upanishad's claim to fame, is that it is in keeping with the human longing. So it is pertinent to what you want to be. The Upanishad is never impertinent. It is very relevant to who you want to be. And all it says is you are already what you want to be. There is no argument. There is no contention. And there is no contention, there is no discontent, because it is exactly what you want to be. Who you are is what you are, what you want to be. And so, the focus here is not in wanting to become. In fact, this becoming is extremely unbecoming. This life of becoming is called samsara. This is what is called becoming. Very unbecoming. First I want to become this, then I want to become that, then I want to become that. Nobody wants to be in this life of becoming. Because no matter what you become, you are not satisfied. You want to become something else, something else, something else, something else, and then at the end what? Nothing. Therefore, that's why I said the Upanishad is the full stop. Vedanta is the full stop to this human quest to matter, to be somebody that the world can reckon. In fact, the way that the full stop is put to the quest is very beautiful. You are already the most significant thing in the universe. You are the whole, you are free, you are limitless. You are complete. There is nothing to want, nowhere to go, nothing to do. And so therefore, the families that received the Vedas also received the Upanishad. Because you never know when it will come in handy. You never know when you will qualify. And you never know when you might want to, and you might be ready to study this. And so you can never escape the Upanishad, no matter to which Veda you belong. Oh, I belong to the Rig Veda. I am free of the Upanishad. No such thing. Aitareya Upanishad, specific to the Rig Veda. No, I belong to the Shukla Yajur Veda, Ishavasya Upanishad. No, I belong to the Krishna Yajur Veda, Kathopanishad. Plus so many other Upanishads are there specific to the Krishna Yajur Veda. No, I belong to the Samaveda, Chandogya Upanishad. All the 8 chapters. And then what? Then if you say I belong to the Atharva Veda, extra Upanishads, many Upanishads, Mundaka, Mandukya, Ganapati, Atharva Shirsha Upanishad, all these things. Yeah, we shouldn't get confused between Mundaka and Mandukya. People often get confused. So Mundaka is one Upanishad also belonging to the Atharva Veda. Mandukya, another Upanishad also belonging to the Atharva Veda, and that which we are studying right now. What we are studying right now is not Mundaka, it is Mandukya. Okay? Yeah. So this is the, so you can't escape the Upanishads. And if you have managed to escape it till now, now is the time to surrender to this body of knowledge, because somehow you have wandered into this class, whether by accident or by design, doesn't matter. Even if it is not by your design, it is by Bhagavan's design. And so, welcome it. Take it as a prasada. But I am not ready, doesn't matter. You will become ready. And so, like this, every Veda has a particular set or particular Upanishad or a set of Upanishads attached to it, which requires a different, what is it called? Adhikari, a person who is interested in and qualified to study. It requires a different adhikari because the subject matter is very different. than the first portion of the Veda. Whereas the first portion of the Veda is in short, a treatise on desire fulfillment. The last portion of the Veda questions the desirer itself, the status that I am a desirer, the conclusion that I am a ragi, I am a dveshi. Ragi doesn't mean ragi malt, ragi is not the grain here that I'm talking about. The one who has raga is ragin, the one who is in raga, okay? So, I am a ragi, I am a dveshi, all these are the conclusions. And these conclusions is what is thrown out of the window. And these conclusions in the first portion of the Veda, they are not questioned. In fact, they are fed each time you feed the fire when doing a fire ritual, which is a major portion of the first part of the Veda. Karma Kanda, it is called. It's all about karma action, religious action. How to do kalpa, shastra, religious action, and how to do laukika action. Atha yadi chet dharma vichikitsa va vritta vichikitsa va syat. If you don't know how to conduct yourself, ye tatra brahmana asammarshinaha, approach people who are dharmic, who the whole world looks upon as holy, as beyond reproach. Tatha te tatra varteran, exactly how they behave, you also behave in the same manner. This is laukika advice. This is day-to-day advice on how to behave, a present, a gift of the first portion of the first portion of the Veda, how to behave. And then when things don't go your way, how to do, what to do, nothing else to do. Catch hold of a ladle, chamas. That's how the Hindi word chammach has come from the Sanskrit word chamas. Chammach means spoon, teaspoon. But here it is chamas. Catch hold of the ladle and then do what? Offer prayers unto Bhagavan in the form of ghee and other offerings. When things don't go your way, instead of raging and ranting and being mad with disappointment and anger, the first step in anger management is to surrender the anger into the fire which takes away the anger to Bhagavan. Takes away the anger. So surrender the anger into this as an offering and grow as a result. So all the fire rituals, even though they seem to be stoking the fires of the desires, are actually helping in the preparation to come to terms with grief, to come to terms with non-acceptance, to come to terms with disappointment. Each time a raga and a dvesha, strong prejudices and preferences, are left unfulfilled. So on the face of it, for the untrained mind, for the emotional child, the fire ritual is yet another way of fulfilling the desire. Yes, now that I'm not able to fulfill the desire, what am I going to do? I'm going to go straight to Bhagavan and milk the grace of Bhagavan and say, help me to fulfill this desire. That is what the emotional child is thinking as it is offering ghee into the fire. But the Veda, Adi Shankara says, is like a mother. A mother who gives the child what it needs, not always what it wants. I want to play, says the child. Mother knows it's very tired and it just needs to go to bed. And the mother also knows that this child is not capable of logic, not capable of argument here. You cannot argue with it. Yes, yes, you can play. In fact, we'll play right now. And somehow lulls the child, and before the child is, before the child can even say one more thing, the child is already asleep on her shoulder. That is what is the function of the first portion of the Veda. To sing a lullaby to all the children, the truncated desires, the inner children, raga, dvesha, I want, I don't have, all the disappointments, all the fears that one carries. And when all these inner children go to sleep with the help of all the hymns of the Rig Veda, the Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, all the suktas, Bhagya Sukta, Ayushya Sukta, Narayana Sukta, Purusha Sukta, Medha Sukta, all the children, the inner children, go to sleep. The disappointment yawns. The sense of incompleteness says, I need my pacifier. Okay, I'm going to turn over and go to sleep. And then, what should I say? The anger makes its bed and smooths it out, getting ready to lie down. The discontent says, okay, I'm throwing in the towel. Right now I don't have the energy. I'm just going to bed. Mother Shruti, in the form of all the Vedic hymns and in the form of these repeated offerings and an action component to the hymns is also there. Puts to bed all the inner children of immaturity, emotional truculence, recalcitrant, resistance. Puts them all to bed. And those that are too rajasic and not willing to go to bed, she keeps them occupied with a ladle in hand. Keep on putting. When should I put? Each time I say swaha, offer. Vashat, these are the words of offering, okay? Swaha and Vashat. So, when I say swaha, you go aha, time to put ghee in the fire. Indraya swaha. Oh, okay, here. And then there is a little preparation that is there even in the first portion of the Veda. A little vision shines. The vision of the Upanishad also shines in the first portion of the Veda. Indraya swaha. This is totally for the child. With the body of complexes and ragadveshas that is sitting there to do the yajna. Indraya swaha. And then there is a little bit for the adult also. Indraya idanna mama. This is for Indra, this is not for me. I abandon the doership, even though I am taking the credit. Just in the sentence before that I am taking the credit. I am saying Indraya swaha, but then immediately I am saying I am not the doer. This is for Indra. I surrender my desire at the feet of Lord Indra. If it's meant to be fulfilled, let it come, otherwise let it not. So, the Upanishad weaves in so many, just like a very clever and loving mother who feeds the child a medicine that it is not willing to take, after hiding it in some, in a little date. Removes the seed, puts the medicine, and the sweet date hides the medicine, and the medicine heals samsara, relatively speaking, does upashamana of samsara enough to be able to look around and see that there is even a second portion of the Veda called the Upanishad. And to get ready to want that, to long for that. You see how clever this is. So the first portion of the Veda has a different subject matter. The subject matter there is preparedness, emotional maturity, and to the one who doesn't fully understand this, a mode of fulfilling desires that are out of my control, that are totally in the hands of the Lord, for which my own karmic residues are standing in the way. And therefore I pray to Lord Ganesha, I pray to Lord Narayana, I pray to various manifestations of Bhagavan and Bhagavati. I pray. And so this is what the first portion does. Makes one into a bhakta. This is the contribution of the first portion. But the first portion, for those who don't understand the multiple and nuanced ways in which the first portion of the Veda operates, at best it's a desire fulfillment. It's a recipe for desire fulfillment, the first portion of the Veda. And then that's why it's a different adhikari, a different person who is interested in that. It's like a, horror movie versus a comedy. A horror movie, only people, who are interested in being, scared out of their skin will go. There is some kind of a morbid fascination. And then, to be just so scared the whole 2 hours that you're sitting and seeing the movie. It's a completely different audience for the horror movie. And then a completely different audience for a comedy, some kind which, where you laugh or something like that, a completely different audience. You will not get a horror movie aficionado to go and sit in a comedy. They'll get bored, and vice versa. And so similarly here, the first portion of the Veda has a different, taker than the last portion of the Veda. That is why, even though it's all part of the same Veda, it is separated. Veda and Vedanta, we say. Very strange separation. Because even though it's a part of the same holy book, which is carried in the head, a cognitive book, and even though it's carried in the head, it's still a book of revealed knowledge. And so even, so you don't say, I have a book along with its last chapter. Nobody makes a distinction like that. The book and the last chapter, nobody says that separately. The book includes the last chapter. Here it has to be mentioned separately because of different takers. Different level of emotional maturity that draws one to be in the first portion of the Veda versus the one who is interested in the study of the Upanishad. 2 different set of people. Adhikari bheda, the subject matter, Vishaya bheda is also there. The subject matter is also very different. And what does the first portion of the Veda what is the subject matter? The subject matter is preparedness, emotional maturity, and, or we can say on another level, on the most basic level, fulfillment of desires. What is the subject matter of the second portion of Veda, aka Vedanta? What is the subject matter? Questioning whether this entity called the desirer, is it intrinsic to the I or is it extrinsic to the I? That is the subject matter, questioning and falsifying this concept of desirer. I is equal to desirer. That equal sign, a slash has been put by the Mandukya Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, Katha Upanishad. I is not equal to desirer. And that is very simply, simply and instantly shown. How? In sleep. Go to sleep. Not now, okay? So when you go to sleep, what happens? Where is the desire? A sleeping person is free of desires. Whether the sleeping person is free of desires or not, you are free of the sleeping person because you don't have to fulfill the desires of a sleeping person. So when you sleep, there is no desire. And so how can this desire be the reality of you, and not having what you want cannot be your reality because you don't have so many things that you want in sleep, including a series of complexes. You are free of a notion of bondage, you are free of all kinds of things, and yet you are fine. In fact, you want to continue sleeping, you don't want to wake up to the world of complexes. Very simple. This is not complex at all. So the subject matter is different. There in the second portion of the Veda, what is the subject matter? The subject matter is to make this, is to divorce the I from all the ways in which it has gotten mistakenly entangled with certain time-bound notions, statuses, complexes, conclusions, erroneous, all of them. Taking itself to be the body, it grieves, the I grieves. Taking itself to the mind, to be the mind, the I is restless. Taking itself to be the sense organs, the I is forever suffering from a sense of unfulfillment. This is the subject matter. Subject matter of the first portion and the last portion of the Vedas are directly, completely opposite. Adhikari is opposite. In the first portion, the person who is a taker of the first portion of the Veda, what does he or she want? He or she wants to be happy in samsara. Along with the notions, along with all the discontent, I want to be happy. Please give me, O Lord, a potion to be happy along with all the wrong notions. Just like in winter you have dry skin, correct? Skin is like a what is that? Like a grater. You can take a carrot and go like this on the skin and you can have instant, kosambri. What is that? Some grated carrot salad. So the skin is dry. So what do? Before sleeping, you slather on, what is that? Cream, lotion. And you just, and then you go to sleep. And next day what? It's all gone? No. Next evening again, after doing the chores of the day, after playing in the water, and nowadays because of this pandemic, you have to keep washing the hands till they fall off, and then again at the end of the day, what do you have to do? You have to again put the lotion. This is what first portion of the Veda caters to, people who want a lotion to get rid of certain notions within samsara. Oh Bhagavan, hey Bhagavan, oh Lord, give me today a lotion. And then next day, give me a potion. Why don't you just get out of this notion? No, I just want a potion to just put the notion to sleep, a sleeping potion within samsara, so that I don't need to look, and I can be distracted from the notion that I am a source of discontent to myself. That's why horror movies are popular, because it gives a break from the horror show, which is one's own life after life after life after life. Life after life after life. And so you go sit in a horror movie and get scared by somebody else being haunted. Adhikari is different, Vishaya is different. And the prayojana, and what is the purpose of the first portion of the Veda and the last portion of the Veda? The prayojana is also different. What is the purpose of the first portion of the Veda? I just told you. It is to keep one relatively afloat in samsara. You do one yajna, Bhagavan sends one log of wood that you can hold on to. Blob, blob, blob. bobbing up and down, glub, glub, glub. When you go glub, 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 time for yajna number 2, yajna number 3, yajna number 4. Gives you a raft to sit on. That's all it does. Prayojana is to keep you quote unquote afloat in samsara with the seaweed of depression. What should I say? Making a beeline for your legs, with the shark of despair which has opened its maw wide, with the eddies and whirltides and riptides, whirlpools and riptides of despair and discontent, and with a tsunami of fear about to engulf you. Who are you? Sam. How come everybody's name is Sam? Flot Sam, Jet Sam. A little piece of driftwood, because of some bad karma, ended up in the ocean, neither here nor there. Don't even have enough punya to be rescued and made into a table. Driftwood table. It is very highly priced. Some lucky piece of wood got rescued, and then they put one glass top on it and it became a table. No such luck for this Sam. Flot Sam, Jet Sam, forever in samsara. That is the third reason why the name is Sam. Okay? Yeah. Floating in samsara. That is what the whole thing is. And so you see, the first portion of the Veda, the prayojana, the purpose is to be kind of okay in samsara and to look around and to have some kind of a dubious satisfaction that everybody else is also going glub, 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 bobbing up and down. I am also bobbing up and down. There is some kind of a strange sartorial safety in numbers, and so therefore I am also okay. I am okay because you are also not okay, therefore I am okay. Because we are both not okay together, and that makes us all okay. We sink or swim together, mostly sink, okay? Yeah. This is what is samsara. This is what is the situation. Very funny. And then, and what is the prayojana of the last portion? Vedanta. What is the prayojana of Vedanta? What is the tatparya of Vedanta? What is the reason? What is the purpose of studying the last portion of the Veda? Is to completely get out of the river or the ocean of samsara. Oh, then I need a savior, I need a messiah. This is how religions come into being. They appoint themselves to be the savior. This is a rank, what should I say? This is a rank misuse of a collective vulnerability. One looks for a source of, one looks for a salvific source because one feels inundated by forces beyond one's own control, even if those forces are centric to oneself, like one's own body, one's own mind, one's own senses. So, even though this is the truth, that one is feeling inundated, the Upanishad reveals that the accoutrements of this samsara ocean are yet another group of notions. Samsara itself is not an ocean, it is a mere notion that you have subscribed into. Like you saw the horror movie, came home and could not go to sleep, finally went into a fitful sleep and were awoken by a night nightmare a residue of the notion. And in the nightmare, all the things that happened in the movie were happening to you, and the blob was after you. There was some movie like that. Some green slime was after you, and it was growing by the minute, and it was coming after you. And then what? And then it almost caught you. Thank God you woke up. And when you wake up, what happened to the slime? What happened to the wailing of all other people? What happened to your own screams? All gone. Prapañcopaśamaṃ. All gone. Completely gone. Yeah. And yeah, the class is, I think, 1.5 hours long, correct? Yeah. So we have some more time. So all gone. Completely gone. And the nice part, if traumatic as the nightmare was, the nice part about waking up is that you have understood its reality. Its reality was tat desha kala. Tat desha kala avachinnaha. It was a time-bound reality for those few seconds which seemed like hours while you are in the middle of the dream. But it was specific to that time, that place. And the source of fear in this nightmare was nothing other than your own memory and your negative desire, your dvesha, to not be caught in such a situation in your own life. That is the ingredients of this nightmare. There is no blob, there is nobody coming after you, there is nobody, there is no apocalypse, the world is not ending, nothing like that. In other words, you don't need a savior because you are not having a problem to begin with. If there is no problem, why do you need a solution in the form of a savior? If you are not drowning in samsara, why do you need a rope? Because samsara itself is an aropa. It is itself a projection of a mind that has come to wrong conclusions about itself. This is what the whole thing is. So the prayojana is entirely different. In the first portion of the Veda, the prayojana is what is that? Is to stay in samsara and be happy, to have a birthday party in samsara, in the ocean of samsara, and to keep the cake dry and the candles dry. That is the only thing. And strangely, when one celebrates a birthday, what is the wish? Many happy returns. Meaning, keep coming back to this mess again and again. This is my prayer and wish for you. Don't say happy birthday, that's okay. But don't say many happy returns. The point is to not return. That is the tatparya. That is the point of the second portion of the Veda. To not return to this source of notional pain and sorrow by dismissing the notions. First, by seeing that the notions are merely a child of the mind, a mind that has come to erroneous conclusions because of ātmā agrāhyam, self ignorance. And so therefore these notions have to be dismissed with the help of what? That is what is called the second portion of the Veda. The prayojana is entirely different. Vishaya, subject matter, adhikari, the person qualified to study this, the person who is an audience for this, adhikari, audience. Prayojana, the purpose is all different. One more thing that is different is sambandha. What is the connection between the subject matter and the prayojana? What is this, the connection? What is this connection between the subject matter and the vishaya and the prayojana, or the subject matter and the purpose? In the first, that also is very, very different. In the first portion of the Veda, the subject matter, which is the Shastra of how to live in this world, how to pray, how to grow emotionally, how to satisfy your desires using dharmic mechanisms like prayer, etc. How to prepare yourself, all these things. How to have emotional growth, emotional maturity, spiritual growth, how to do that. This is all how-tos. The mere act of offering things into the fire does not immediately guarantee that this is what is going to be the promised outcome in the form of desire fulfillment is going to be gained. The mere act of reading about a fire ritual or understanding the know-how is not going to guarantee that. What do you have to do? It's like a recipe. So if you read the recipe of how to make pulao, vegetable pulao, that's not going to satiate the hunger. You actually have to buy the rice, you have to buy the vegetables, you have to follow the method given in the recipe book. You have to wait for the rice to cook, you have to wait for the vegetables to cook. You have to roast all the spices and put them there. And then it will be ready to eat. Eating that, your hunger is satisfied. So the first portion of the Veda is the sambandha here between the subject matter and the adhikari. The subject matter and the prayojana is that the adhikari has to convert the recipe book for fulfilling the desires into action. So the knowledge, the know-how of the first portion of the Veda is action-centric. It is centered on action because it is abhimukha. It is looking at producing finite ends within samsara that is not so fine, but certainly finite. So finite means finite ends. And to produce these finite ends, some kind of action is warranted. Give dana, do yajna. Dana means give a donation, give charity, and then give. There are certain specific offerings to the dig devatas, to the deities that guard the quarters. These kinds of offerings have to be left at certain areas. And to the pitrus, to the mains, the ancestors that bless you from yonder. Sesame seeds, rice, ghee, all these things are warranted in terms of an offering. So these are all these are all that are there. So the first portion of the Veda translates the knowledge into action, and you have to do the action in order to produce the results of action, the desired results of action, aka bobbing down, up and down in samsara safely, getting some swimming lessons in samsara. And when you go to the second portion of the Veda, what is the sambandha? What is the connection between this, between the study of the Upanishads? What is the connection? And the adhikari, the audience, the person who is studying the Upanishad, what is the connection? And what is the connection between the adhikari and the prayojana? What is the connection between the person who is studying the Upanishad and the outcome of studying the Upanishad, the purpose of studying the Upanishad? It's not that after the study of the Upanishad you have to sit and cook the Upanishads in order to see I am the whole. No cooking involved. No time involved, nothing to be produced, because the Upanishad or the last portion of the Veda does not teach about how to manufacture a finite product in order to stay warm in samsara, how to knit a sweater. No. In fact, it unravels the need for the sweater altogether by falsifying the fact that one is feeling cold. That coldness is a superimposition upon the I, which the I is free of. This revelation is instantaneous. It is not incumbent on action, because it is not the knowledge that is contained in the second portion of the Veda is infinite, and it is you. It is showing you as infinite. So there is no action needed, there is no action warranted, there is no savior needed, because you are never in peril. That is why now that we have seen how different the first two portions of the Veda are, you can see why in the tradition Veda and Vedanta are mentioned separately. Having said this, there are also some very important similarities the first two portions of the Vedas share. And we have to look into the similarities also, not just the differences, because it is pertinent to our study. And what are the similarities? The similarities are wonderful. First of all, the Veda is not a body of knowledge. This we have already seen. This is just a revision. The Veda is not a body of knowledge that is a brainchild of somebody or some group of people. It is revealed. And the Sanskrit word for revealed is apaurusheya, not human made. Apaurusheyatvam asti. Apaurusheya means it is not something that is human made. It is not man made, not woman made. It simply was there. It is manifest in every cycle of creation. In every cycle of creation, how to come out of that painful cycle is also given. It was given. So that is, the first portion also given, second portion of the Veda also given. Both of them have that in common. And since it is not a darshana, since it is not a body of knowledge or a point of view, then that means it's beyond the scope of the mind and the senses. It's not something that can be grasped by the mind or the senses, this body of the knowledge, because it is not logical. It is not, in other words, available for any means of knowledge to either be able to prove the claims that the Veda and Vedanta posit, or to disprove the claims of Veda or Vedanta. Because it's beyond the means of knowledge that are available to us. Like papa. Papa means what? Wrong actions. Actions that are contrary to dharma will produce uncomfortable results in the here or hereafter. That is what is called papa. Papam. Where is the proof that papa exists? Oh, I don't feel so good. That's the only proof. Somebody was mean to me. That's the proof. No other proof exists. If supposing one were to say, show me where the punya is. There is an expression you see in movies all the time. Show me the money. Show me the punya. If you say, nobody, even Bhagavan cannot oblige. Show me how much papa I have to undergo in the rest of my life. Let's say the lifespan is 100 years And then let's say the person asking this question is 50 years. So okay, one half of life, half a century gone. Another half of life is left. So in these remaining 50 years, what all the papas I have to endure? Beyond the scope of sight. That's why the word for papa punya is adrishta, unseen, but it is there. It is there because it is experienced. It is there because there is no other plausible explanation for why, even though two people are working equally hard, only one is getting bypassed for all the promotions, the other one is getting all the promotions on time. No other plausible logical explanation. Adrishta, unseen. Yeah. This is called apurvata of the Veda. Veda includes Vedanta because we are now looking at the similarities between the two. So what is the similarity here? The similarity is that it is beyond the scope of the five senses, beyond the scope of inference, beyond the scope of anything that is available to any means of knowing that are available to the human mind, beyond the scope of all the means of knowledge. This is what the Veda is. And so if it is beyond the scope, it's very difficult to prove. Punarjanma exists. How are you going to prove? You can't prove. Heaven asti. How are you going to prove that heaven is? You cannot prove. You cannot also disprove. Heaven nasti. You cannot disprove. So the Veda is not a body of knowledge for argument. Why? Because argument with other means of knowledges, it can neither be proved nor disproved with other means of knowledges, because, listen carefully, it is itself a means of knowledge. It is itself a way of knowing. That's why it's not a philosophy. That's why it's not a darshana. That's not why it's not a point of view. That's why I always laugh when I come across this, these 6 systems of philosophy in ancient India, Nyaya, this, that, Vaisheshika, all these. And then Vedanta. Vedanta is not a system. It has nothing to prove. It has nothing to disprove. It has something to say about yourself. It has a vision to unfold about yourself, which it quietly does, provided you are interested in it. That's all. It has nothing to prove. It has no pressure to be a body of knowledge trying to reproduce itself. Doesn't have to do that. The Guru Shishya Parampara takes care of it automatically. And so therefore, this is something so beautiful. So this apurvata, anadhikata, it is not available for sight, it is not available for inference, it is not available for hypothesizing, it is not available to be disproved or to be proved. It simply is, and it is whose subject matter is you. It has a vision to unfold. That's all it is. That is in keeping with your desires, with your most basic longing to belong to everything. That is all it has to do. And then in that sentence itself, that it has something to unfold, that is in keeping with your longing. Very interesting, that longing itself, whether it's the first portion of the Veda, longing to be okay in samsara, or it's the second portion of the Veda, which is Vedanta, longing to be one with everything, one with the source of the universe. That longing is fulfilled. And what is that? It is phalavat. Phalavat means there is a purpose there, and that purpose is fulfilled by the study of the Upanishad, or by doing the rituals of the first portion of the Veda, whatever those purposes are. It is purposeful. It is arthavat. It is meaningful. Anadhigata arthavat. Phalabodhaka. Phalavat arthabodhaka. Either way. Anadhigata means not available for any means of knowledge, is meaningful in life and has the capacity to show you what you want to get. In other words, delivers the goods, either cognitively or through action. Through action, first portion of the Veda; cognitively, second portion of the Veda. And so therefore it is its own means of knowledge. If you analyze the sense organs, which are the what is called pratyaksha pramanani, the primary means of knowledge, same thing. They are anadhikata. Anadhikata means what the eyes see, the ears do not see. Each means of knowledge is a king in its own area. Each means of knowledge is a king in its own area. It cannot be refuted. It cannot be, you cannot say, I see, therefore I hear. You cannot do that. The hearing and sight can never fight with one another. Maybe they complement one another, but they can never fight with one another, because the purpose of the eyes is to reveal form, shape, color. The purpose of the ears is to reveal the various nuances of the sounds. No fight at all. Completely different. And then it is meaningful. Why? Because it makes sense to you. And it delivers the goods. You see something, you say this is a rose. You see the color, you see the shape, you see the form. And then immediately the name comes to mind. So likewise, the Veda and Vedanta. And here since we are studying Vedanta, the last portion of the Upanishad, is a means of knowledge which has to be understood as such. So any notions coming in the mind due to inference, due to all kinds of other means of knowledge competing with this means of knowledge, they have to be quietened down in order for this means of knowledge to reveal what it has to reveal. For this pramana to be active means that the other pramanas don't question this. This is what is called Shraddha, the ability to have an open mind to receive the message of this mantra in the Mandukya Upanishad. And this mantra is a very beautiful mantra. The Mandukya Upanishad is a very beautiful Upanishad, and we'll be seeing more in the next class, and we will enter into this Upanishad in the morning class, and then I'll say the closing prayer, and if there are any questions you can type in the chat pod, or you are welcome after the prayer to unmute yourself and ask the question. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Any questions are there? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hari Om. You said the first part of the Vedas, prajñāna, everything is different from the second part.
Yeah.
Till the first part is the prerequisite for the second part, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
is it contradicting kind of thing, or?
No, there is no contradiction. It's a prerequisite, just like every knowledge. Like if you want to do a BA, you have to have a high school, degree. And if you want to do an master's or PhD, you have to have a bachelor's degree. There is no contradiction between the bachelor's degree and the master's degree. There is no contradiction at all. And nobody is saying that you have to have a, you have to do this, or you have to have that, or something like that. It is, either you study the first portion of the Veda, or you live your life in such a way that even living your life is like a being in the first portion of the Veda. So I don't understand the question, perhaps, but I don't see the contradiction.
So basically, it's first part of the Veda is to do like it's karma yoga basically to offer everything to Lord and rid yourself of all your
Yes, yes,
ragdvesha.
absolutely.
That's all. Okay. But one must do it and not just have a theoretical knowledge of it, but you actually have to do that with every action, whether
Yeah,
it's
in the first portion of the Veda, there is the action. Action is required. It's based on action. The second one is totally cognitive because it's based on you. Okay? Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, you have understood correctly. Sandra, please call me. Sandra, please call me. Uh, okay? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Call me after this. Oh.